everyone, I'm here with a book video. I'm going to be talking about the top 5 books about astrology for beginners. So this is for beginners. I do have other books that I really like and recommend, but they're more for intermediate or advanced astrology. But this is like, you're at the beginning. Like you are like, I just know my sun sign and I don't know this whole like rising sign. I don't know how to read a birth chart, but you want to learn how to read a birth chart. You want to learn some of these basics. I've got you covered with these books. So the first, this is not necessarily in any particular order, but the first book that I have here is The Stars Within You, A Modern Guide to Astrology by Juliana McCarthy. It is, first of all, it's got that lovely sort of rose petal. This is a more contemporary book. It came out, I believe, in 2018. So it's not particularly old, that's for sure. It just came out relatively recently. This is a quick, easy read and can give you a really great, just like a great introduction to the signs and what they mean, to the planets and what they mean, and what each planet means in your birth chart. So first of all, you have to know your birth chart to know these things. And what I would recommend is going to www.astro.com. I'm going to put the links below here, and you can punch in your birth data. So it'll ask you for the date and the time. The time is important, and location of your birth, and then a chart will come up for you. And it will show you, you'll have like a wheel, and it'll show you like the planets in different signs and what we call houses. And again, that's something that, I don't know, did they talk about this? Yes, they do talk about the houses in here as well. So you can, this book is like pretty simple, straightforward, very basic, and then you can look at your chart and you can look up all that stuff about yourself and learn a little bit more about yourself. So it is like an easy read. It's pretty straightforward. So it's a good place to start when you're just learning things like your birth charts. Now, the next one I would recommend, which is somewhat similar to that one, is the Astrology for Real Life, a workbook for beginners by Teresa Reed. And this is another one where, you look up your birth chart and then you can follow along with this. And this has a little bit more advanced information than the other one. It does, of course, go through signs, it goes through the planets, but she talks about aspects, which is like a little tiny bit more advanced. And she talks about the asteroids. My only criticism with this book, it's a really good book, is that I would have covered it in a bit of a different order personally, but I still think this is really valuable to work with. And it does, I think it even has space for you to write in. So yeah, it has like little worksheets and things for you to write in. So you can write about your different, you can enter in some of your information. So it does have worksheets in it. So it is pretty interactive, which I really like. And she is very, very knowledgeable about astrology. She has a podcast called Astrology Bites. She also has one called Tarot Bites. And it's like these little short bite-sized podcasts that give you information about astrology. So I would recommend that particular podcast as well. If you're getting into astrology, you want to know more about it, you want to understand what some of the terms are, I'd recommend Astrology Bites as a podcast to listen to. So this book as well is really great for beginners. Now I'm going to show you a couple of older books, and these are books that I got in I think they were in the 2000s. This was when, I started learning astrology before you could just calculate a birth chart on a website, which, I think is so handy now that we can do that. But these ones have been around for a while. And again, they go a little more in depth than those 2 other books. So this book I recommend to lots of people. It is the only astrology book you'll ever need. You'll see that it comes with a CD-ROM. That's how old it is. So anyway, this book, I've actually had an earlier copy, but something happened to it in a move and I ended up buying this one. This is the 2006 copy, but I had one from the 90s. So back then you couldn't just look up your birth chart. But this had tables in it. Yeah, it had tables, what they call ephemeris, so you could look up where things were. So I learned how to do that way back in the day. So this book is very comprehensive. It walks you through being able to, figure out your birth chart. It has like what all the signs mean. It has the planets. It has what the planets and the signs mean. It is just like a very complex, thorough book. Now, if you just want to look up your chart and understand your chart, the other two books I think are great for that. This one too as well. But this one I think it helps you be like it helps you understand a little bit more too about why, sort of like what things are and why. So I think it's a little more in depth. So if you're looking to kind of really understand natal charts, I would recommend this one. It is like, it can look a bit intimidating, but it is it's a really good book. Like if you're serious about learning this stuff, this is a wonderful book. It is a textbook. It is a giant book, but it's filled with wonderful, amazing information. It's a classic for a reason. I think it first was printed back in, where do we have here? Because I know it got in the 90s. 1982 is the original. Yeah, that's how old it is. So definitely way before, looking up your birth chart on a website. I know I got this when I was in university initially back in the 90s. So it's a well-loved book, that's for sure. Another one that is a classic as well and will also walk you through the whole birth chart thing is Parker's Astrology, which is another, you can see, giant book. So this one too will walk you through doing a birth chart, and this one has like great information about aspects as well. So first of all, this book is really beautiful. It's got beautiful diagrams in it. It walks you through how to do a birth chart. It talks about all the planets. It talks about the planets in each sign. It has instructions for things like drawing a birth chart. It is just very, very helpful type of book. It has like so many just wonderful diagrams telling you how to figure things out. It also has like beautiful, just like, where are the signs again? Because they have like beautiful introductions to the signs that are just gorgeous, like gorgeous illustrations. It's a beautiful book and extremely informative. I also enjoy that it has like aspects. So you can look up if your planet has an aspect to another planet, what that means. So it is very, very thorough, and it's just like a beautiful book to look at as well. I highly recommend this. This one's been around for a long time too. Its original printing is 1991. So this one's been around a really long time. I did not discover this one till later, but it is a beautiful book that can really help you to understand astrology in depth. So I highly recommend this one. The next one I have is a bit of a different one. Actually, I don't even know if it's still in print, to be honest. It is Making the Gods Work for You, the Astrological Language of the Psyche. So this one I would recommend, like maybe after reading some of the other ones. This one talks more about the psychological association with each of the planets. So it has to do more with sort of like modern psychological witchcraft than traditional, or witchcraft, astrology than with traditional astrology. However, it is like a really valuable book because it really helps you to understand the archetypes of the planets and what they mean. Now this also, it doesn't tell you exactly how to build a birth chart, but it does walk you through all the planets and archetypally what they are and what they mean in the different signs. So it can give you this really great understanding of what those planets mean in your psyche, like what they represent, like, Pluto representing like death and the shadow, Mercury representing sort of like the chatty mind, the moon's the subconscious. Like it goes into kind of like the archetypes of it, which I think is really, really valuable. So I'm not sure if the book is still in print, but I know it's still available and around, and it is a classic. So I recommend that too. So those are the 5 books that I would recommend if you're looking at getting into astrology. You want to understand your birth chart. You want to know more than just your sun sign. Maybe you want to learn how to, build a birth chart, how to look at natal charts besides just your own. I would definitely recommend these books as a really, really great and informative place to start for astrology. If you want, I can do one as well about books I recommend for like intermediate to advanced astrology. Like say you already know how to read a birth chart, you already know what all the signs and the planets mean, but you're looking to get a little more in depth. I can do a video about that as well. Anyway, if you're interested in astrology readings, I do have astrology readings on my Etsy shop as well. I do have on my Patreon on the seeker level, I do have weekly astrology videos where I talk about what's going on for the week to help you plan and prepare for your energies of the week if you want to know a little more in depth what's going on with the astrology. So you can check that out in the links below. But thank you so much for watching, and thank you to my patrons. You guys make this possible. Thank you so, so much. And as always, peace and love.